Without further ado, let's start this journey. Please allow me to introduce you to the two PDP co-chairs, Moses Serugo and Abdul Karim Oloyede, who were elected during our AIS 19 Kampala meeting during the PDP co-chair election. Moses holds a 2-year term, while Abdul Karim holds a 1-year term. I will now hand over the floor over to the co-chairs to start the AFRINIC public policy meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madhvi. Good morning, everybody. We have a really packed agenda for this meeting. So we would like to, first of all, go through the agenda for this meeting. And we have sent the agenda earlier onto the mailing list. So this is just a view of this is agenda for today and also for tomorrow, which is a 2-day policy meeting. So do we have any comments on the agenda before we start? Okay, thank you very much. So we would take this agenda as adopted and we'll start with the agenda, which is to have a welcome and code of conduct. My name is Abdul Karim. I'm Abdul Karim Oloyede from Nigeria. I do teaching and research. I teach wireless telecommunications. And I would like my co-chair to also introduce himself.
Good morning, everyone. Bon dia. Bonjour. My name is Moses Serugo, and I am your co-chair. You're all welcome.
First of all, I would like to thank everybody, especially everybody within this community, for electing us at the last AFRINIC meeting in Uganda. We were so excited to be appointed or to be elected as your co-chair. And we want to tell you that as co-chairs, we understand our responsibility, which is to guide the policy discussion in this community. We understand that the role of co-chair is to listen to whatever you guys want to say. Our role is to listen to the community and to take decisions on behalf of the community. And the decision doesn't come from us, it comes from you guys. From whatever the discussion that goes on within the community, all we have to just say is to look at, to have a rough consensus on the issues. So the decisions is actually not coming from us, it's coming from the community. So we want you to understand clearly that we are not decision makers, but we will be listening to you, and we understand that as our role. So before we start, we also need to go through the code of conduct. This is very important for us because in this community, there is a code of conduct. You've elected us as chairs, and we also need to demonstrate that. And we'll read through the code of conduct so that everybody is aware of the role of the code of conduct. So AFRINIC meetings, including the African Internet Summit, the AIS meetings, and AFRINIC mailing list are intended for information dissemination, discussion, and knowledge sharing. The AFRINIC community is a collaborative environment in which people from many different backgrounds and culture, from very different backgrounds and culture, work together for the good of the African and global internet. Those who participate in AFRINIC and the African Internet Summit meeting, either in person or remotely, or on the AFRINIC mailing list, are expected to behave professionally and respectful at all times. Harassment, intimidation, or offensive behavior would not be tolerated.
Ask that all AFRINIC community participants, number one, treat others with politeness and respect. Avoid behavior or remarks that give offense or discriminate based on gender, sexual orientation, religion, race, or ethnic origin, language, or other perceived social, cultural, or personal differences. Personal attacks or otherwise discriminatory, defamatory, or discriminatory comments will not be tolerated. If you disagree with somebody, please state your opinion calmly and politely. Respect the agenda. Please keep your remarks on topic for the relevant part of the meeting. Respect timekeeping. Please keep your remarks reasonably short. And if the session leader closes the microphones before you have had a chance to speak, then please return to your seat. Respect language differences, translators, and remote participants. Please speak slowly, clearly, and please use the microphones. When you come to the mic, we will request you, please state your name and affiliation, and always act in the best interest of the AFRINIC community at all times. Yeah, so basically that's the summary. Here we can talk about, if you have any questions about expected behaviors at the meetings, you can raise it through the email, comms@afrinic.net. Yeah, that's it.
So in summary, just for us to emphasize, please, we want you to please respect the agenda. Please keep your remarks on topic for the relevant part of the meeting. Respect timekeeping, respect language differences, and also please, we need you to speak slowly as possible. I know I also speak very fast, but I will try as much as possible to go slowly, most especially because of those doing the translation. More importantly, please let us act in the best interest of the AFRINIC community at all times. In case you want to speak and we actually close the mic, please feel free to use the mailing list. The mailing list has the same effect as you speaking on the mic. When you come to the mic, please remember, state clearly your name and affiliation. If you are opposing or supporting any policy, you must state the reason why you are supporting or why you are opposing any policy, and you must also bear in mind the code of conduct. Is there any question, comments on the code of conduct? So the next item on the agenda is for us to look through the policy development process of AFRINIC. Okay, somebody at the mic. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Lucky Masilela. I'm a member. Quick issue. I want to talk to keeping the interests of AFRINIC at all times, the phrase that we have them. Now, I want to believe that if you are considering the interests of AFRINIC, you will always represent your opinions independently and without any coercion, without any influence, and in the process of policy development, even during the debate and discussions on policy developments. Thus, my question would be, it appears that there are members of AFRINIC who have been coerced into some positions it appears, coerced into some positions that they do not truly believe in, that they do not truly are able to articulate and defend. They are only carrying a message from somebody else, and which, in my view, not serving the interests of AFRINIC. It is not putting AFRINIC's interests front. So I would want, if there is anything that is happening where people in this house were having mock sessions to prepare on how this day is going to be conducted, how the debates are going to be conducted, that the chair's office need to confirm or investigate such an allegation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I would only say we'll take in the comment. This is the first time we are hearing of that, and we believe everybody that is sitting in this room is here in the interest of the AFRINIC community. We'll discuss that within ourselves, and we'll get back to you on that meeting. But what we believe is everybody is a member of this community and should act in the best interest of the community. Thank you. Jody.
I think that maybe people new in this meeting that has not previously participated in and also somehow answering the previous question in the mic, it happens in terms of, let's suppose 100 people has been convinced for one position or another. This is not really so much relevant because we are not based on voting, but consensus. So the real funding of the PDP, not just in AFRINIC, in all the communities, I mean in all the registered communities and also in ITF and other organizations in our, let's say, in our field, is that if you object to a policy proposal, you need to explain and justify why. So it may happen that you have 100 people against, non-explaining why, and only one in favor, and it still passes. So I agree, it's bad if that happens, the side meetings trying to convince people, but I think the important point here is people need to understand that consensus only fails if there are valid objections to a proposal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think we can proceed to the next item on the agenda, and that's a brief about the AFRINIC policy development process. Number resource management policies are developed through an open process. There is no specific requirement to participate in the PDP. Anyone can propose irrespective of geographical location, and most of our policies discussions happen mostly on the mailing list. It is open to anyone, you can join. And then the process is anybody may submit, you post on the RPD list, and it is discussed there. After that, in a period of at least 4 weeks, then anybody may submit a proposal, posted on RPD list and on the website. It is discussed in the RPD list at least for 4 weeks, discussed at a public policy meeting like this one, and then when it receives consensus, it goes to the last call for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, if there is no issues raised, it is forwarded to the board of directors, and then it is ratified and then implemented by staff. If it does not receive consensus, it goes back to the mailing list for further discussion. Something also to talk about the RPD briefly is, the principles are, it is open, it is transparent, and it is bottom up. Um,
Thank you, Moses. Just to add to that, that the policy development, we know a lot of us understand the process of policy development in AFRINIC. We just decided to go through the process again so that everybody in this room will be convinced and know that the process is open. It is also a transparent process. It is a transparent process and it is also a fair process. And just like what Jody mentioned, we are not counting hands. We are not doing show of hands, counting numbers. You have to come to the mic. And if you support any policy, you need to tell us the reason why you're supporting a policy. And also oppose any policy, the onus is on you to give us clear reasons. You cannot just come to the mic and say, I do not like this policy. I do not like the authors of this policy. And for that reason, I am opposing this policy. Even if we have 100 people queuing up at the mic saying that, that does not mean a policy is bad, and that does not mean we're not going to pass a policy. What matters most is you must give good reasons why a policy must be passed or why a policy must not be passed. So please let us have this at the back of our mind. It is not majority, it is not voting, it is by consensus. And we have to judge consensus based on argument, not by show of hands. Thank you very much. I hope we understand that. Is there any question on the policy development process? I know we all understand and we've been going through it for some time. I think we'll go with the mic in front first.
You. My name is Job. I'm from Senegal. I have a question about transparency and the openness of the policy. We are in Africa. Languages. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You can speak whatever language, English, French, Portuguese, at the mic. We have our those doing the translation. And please use your headsets. And that's why we have these headsets. You can, when you go to the mic, you can actually speak English, French, or Portuguese.
French, or Portuguese, or Arabic. May I understand what is going on a policy if the policy is only in English?
I would say, I believe aware of anybody that sends anything on the mailing list in any other language other languages and we just translate. And I think it's easier on the mailing list than even on the mic.
So we are talking about
Yes. Yes, I'm talking about. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yes, my name is Leila. I'm a member. I want to ask questions about the process, particular. I saw notices of webinars and new things which are not in this PDP process I see. So one would tend to therefore expect that you come here and publish the outcome of those webinars. In other words, it's clearly a deviation from the PDP process we are looking at.
Okay.
And so either we modify our PDP process, pass a new PDP policy process, or at least whatever happened there, it should have been brought to the mailing list so that my grandmother who was away could also read it and contribute. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me just quickly respond to that. On the issue of the webinar, and the webinar was, and we felt it was in the best interest of this community, and we are not in any way trying to modify this PDP process. The webinar is this, during the webinar process is just for authors to come online and discuss their policy. So it is part of the process that is discussed here, which is posted on the web, discuss it on the RPD list. The webinar, we believe, is the same thing as discussion because it's an avenue for discussion. We have not modified the PDP in any way.
Yeah, our time is really running fast, and the mic, it's, just briefly. If you want to, because some people are not. Be brief as we manage this time. Thank you.
Ok, je vais être le plus bref aussi.
But just to make it as you know, in Africa, when we discuss around the fire, and unity around the fire, it helps us to speak behind us. So I like to make an opinion so that in future meeting we can sit in a circle like in a jungle so that we can see each other around the table, but not sitting in a way whereby others on the right side and others on the left side and others behind us and other participants in front. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The translation was a little bit. So please, I would want to say, please, after Alain, can we please close the mic? Okay, sorry. Yeah, okay. The mic is now closed. Yep.
Jordi Ballet, I want to tell something about what it was said about the languages. I only speak Spanish, Catalonian, and English. I can understand Portuguese. I can understand French. As an author, I am happy to try to answer as much as possible to any questions in the list in any language. But of course, sometimes translation is not perfect. So I think the people need to understand that if we can get a single language, it's easier for authors. I am not saying I am against that, of course not, but that our interpretation can be slightly different or the translation are never perfect. So we ask help for staff or other community members that talk different languages to help on that. So in that sense, I am happy. Regarding the webinars, I am one of the people that proposed doing the webinars, okay? And the reason I did that is because we do that in other regions as well. Okay. And the reason we believe webinars are important is because many people is not following the mailing list. And webinars allows people that for whatever reason, they don't have the time or they don't want to follow the mailing list, they can provide inputs and get the information from the authors about what is about the policies. I don't think this is against the